Man, when was the last time we even played a Fire Emblem game?
No idea.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a good while.
I admit.
I'm not gonna play it support again. I can't.
Oh.
I can't take it.
Okay.
I want to do damage to something.
I'll do it this time.
Okay, yeah.
Someone's got to do it.
That sounds good, yeah. Can't forget to thank our sponsor, Peach Rings.
Peach Rings, thank you.
Very good.
As always.
Alright, so we got our characters ready now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
We're good?
So I'm playing a Manakiti dragon, and this character focuses around the usage of fire. So, what?
Just continue.
Listen, if you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen.
I'm disappointed in you.
Okay, but this character's got more going on than just fire, okay? So for my backstory, a brief overview is...
The Dade needs no backstory. All the Dade needs is food, and drinks. Drinks are good too.
Yep. Drink is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. I'll be playing Jack.
Of course you are, yeah.
What?
You always.
You name
play
every
Jack.
character Jack.
He's the one multiversal constant. So what?
Okay, well, we've got our characters ready. I guess we just gotta wait for our GM now. Where's our Game Master?
Sorry I'm late, guys. I just had something to go digging around for a few things.
We will never forgive you.
We're all ready to play the Fire Emblem game, but I still think it should be called Ferngard.
It is more fun to say.
That.
What were you looking for?
Oh, you know, just, there's that new Fire Emblem game coming out, and I was thinking maybe we could film a few skits for it.
You haven't done Fire Emblem content in, what, 5 years? 6?
Well, neither of you.
I've been getting around to it. You know, it's just taking a little longer than I would have expected.
Fair enough, I guess.
Will I be playing Vake again?
Well, no.
But you replaced me? But I'm the only one who can capture Vake's subtle charms.
No, it's not that. Vake's actually...
You're not covering him? The greatest fucking character in all of Fire Emblem!
But the thing is, Vake actually isn't in this game.
I have no idea what's going on.
You'll get used to it. So you're just gonna start this up again as quickly as you dropped it?
Well, I mean, I could if you all agree to participate.
Scripted?
I mean, sure.
Well, who would write all of it?
J-Mick, maybe?
But who would want to memorize all their lines?
Well, you know, that would come with...
You haven't actually thought at all about how this is gonna work, have you?
Look guys, I'm just really excited about the new game. It's Fire Emblem, and we haven't gotten an actual new game in the series in a long time. Sure, we did get that one remake that had amazing visuals, excellent original voice acting, and an innovative set of game mechanics, but who plays remakes, am I right? So, new game, new characters, new mechanics, and most importantly, no gimmick for introducing child units. Yes. So, we get to make content for this game. Who's with me?
Yeah, no. Come back when you know exactly what you want to make and how you want to do it.
Zach?
Let me know when you're making a video on the Vake again.
What's wrong with trying to make a few more videos?
Nothing's wrong, but you quit cold turkey years ago. No one knows if you're serious about it.
What? I mean, I brought the camera.
Well, that's a good start.
What? You're leaving too?
No one's leaving. We still gotta play tonight. But there's cookies and soda out there. And look, if you put together a plot and a timeline to get everything done, then they'll think you're serious about it. Or you could just make another character guide.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Fire Emblem Three Houses' first character guide here on XepherGames. Today we're going to be talking about Byleth, because they're the main character. You have to use them, so why not get started on that, right? So here's what I'm thinking. We'll go over a few of the details first. We'll go over some of their growth rates, skills, what they're good at, what they're bad at, and then some of the specializations and builds you can go over. We're not going to go into crazy detail because I don't want these guys to be too long. I want to give you guys something you can work with and move on into the game. As a note, these guys will be spoiler free, though I will mention some things that are like tiny itty bitty spoilers if you even want to find them that way, but like it's not anything really all that plot relevant, just stuff that is basically mechanical. Like, if you want to just not spoiler stuff for what his hidden talent is, for example, like, I'll be telling you that, so, sorry. Anyway, so, first, let's talk about their growths. Byleth, male and female, have the same growth rates, and they are extremely average. You can see them here, and they just, like, there's just nothing exceptional or terrible about them, and honestly that's great. It lets you go kind of anywhere with the character. They're all good, and honestly it depends more on what your personal preferences and what classes you want to try. Now, as a note, the strength growth is exceptional, and they do have very good starting strength as well, so I've noticed that it really makes sense to try for classes that, you know, promote strength versus magic, but you can definitely do both, or one or the other, whatever you like. So let's talk next about Byleth's skill levels. Here they are. Good at swords, brawling, and authority. Now, what does this mean for us? You'll probably always be using swords to some extent, as Byleth does have a unique weapon layer in the game. Tiny spoiler. And it is a sword, and it's really good, so you're probably going to want to use it. Most builds will probably incorporate swords to some extent, then make sure to level that up as long as you're planning to use it. Brawling has some interesting combat arts, which you can see here. Mystic Blow, and Mystic Blow scales off of magic, and Draining Blow heals your HP, which they're also very good at, and more on that in a minute. And it has some really good options. Because of the fact that Brawling works as a brave weapon in this game, and effectively allows you to strike twice or even 4 times, it's crazy powerful with units with really high strength, and like I said earlier, Byleth does have a naturally high strength, so this is actually a pretty solid option for them. Finally, they also get authority. Authority is a weird skill in this game because it does 2 things for you by leveling it up. There's a bunch of random skills you can learn, abilities you can learn by leveling up authority, rallies, and different battalion tactics, but most of these are pretty bad, and I really don't recommend using them ever. Now, I could be wrong in this, and if you guys have had a lot of experience using like Battalion Vantage or Battalion Wrath, please let me know. Maybe there's a build for it using like defensive strategy and stuff and like intentionally lowering it down. There's probably something to be done there, but it just seems like a lot more fiddling than it's worth. That being said, the rally skills can be really good, but aren't necessarily like the most important thing unless you're going for a rally character, which there is at least one really good example of, which we'll talk about later. Not in this episode though. Anyway, beyond that, what do you want authority for? Well, the biggest thing is that it allows you to use higher rank battalions, and that's actually really relevant because battalions are super powerful in the stat bonuses they provide and the gambits they give you. So higher level ones are obviously going to be really helpful and really effective. So getting your level up to A rank on any character is going to be really solid, and on Byleth, it's no exception. Alright, let's briefly touch on magic for Byleth. Can it magic? Yeah, sure. As I mentioned earlier, he has a budding talent in Faith, which means that after you train him some number of times, it's a little arbitrary. It's a little different with Byleth because you have to do it with the student-teacher tutoring thing, and anyway. Point is, after you do it a certain number of times, it will become a strength and you'll learn it faster. You also learn a special skill when you do this. Sorry, a special ability. I'm never going to get used to that. A special ability that gives you plus 20 avoidance while wielding white magic, which is actually really strong. So if you're going for a white magic build, this is actually a really strong contender. Now, what about reason magic? There's some good options in both these trees. I'll list, here are the white magic options you can get.
Here are the black magic options you can get. And basically, the point of this is the offensive black magic you get is pretty standard. It's good, and there's no problem with it. So if you want to do black magic Byleth, you definitely can. If you want to do white magic Byleth, there's some pretty nice incentives. That plus 20 avoid on there can make him or her exceptionally powerful as a tank, since their defenses are also good. You could just stick a Nosferatu on there with that extra evade bonus and just never see them die. Also because of their crest. Again, more on that in a minute. So, is this a reasonable idea? I don't know. Let's talk about crests and personal skill. So, Byleth's crest and personal skill. Crest for Byleth is going to be the mystery crest, but I mean, I don't think it's going... I think I can spoil the fact that it is, in fact, the Crest of Flames. You learn this within, like, a few chapters of the start of the game. And the Crest of Flames, the Fire Emblem, as it were, allows you to do a couple of things. And it's actually one of the best crests in the game, for sure. It allows you to occasionally heal for 30% of the damage you deal. So it's kind of like a mini soul on hit, which is really nice. It makes you tankier, makes you harder to kill. Synergizes with a lot of things, but especially like that white magic nonsense earlier. As well as that, it also has an additional effect to rarely prevent an enemy from counterattacking and deal extra damage. What are the chances on these? I don't know. I don't know if anyone knows at this point, but it's rare and I wouldn't count on it happening, but it's pretty nice when it does. However, the healing thing is very frequent as far as I can tell. It's not like every attack, but you know, every third attack or so, maybe. So, pretty helpful stuff. Personal skill is like tutoring or something like that, and you'll see it here. And basically, the point of this one is to give additional experience points to you and any adjacent allies. It's like times 1.2, so like not a huge boost, but it'll make a big difference eventually. So yeah, it makes Byleth easier to level up, and it makes him able to like assist the leveling process of other units, which is also really cool. Little neat things about this character, aren't there? And it fits, of course, flavorfully with the point of the game as well, which is teaching your students and stuff. So, let's move on to builds.
And here we've got a little infographic here, prepared for you by my own hand. We're going to talk about each of these three builds now. Like I've said, you can kind of do whatever you want with Byleth because they are so versatile, but these are the three that they kind of seem to specialize and push you towards in the game. And the first is by sword or Byleth. Now, I do apologize in advance for these titles. They're pretty awful. So let's run over quickly the classes you're going to do and what skills to pick up from them. You're going to start in Commoner. You're going to pick up the HP plus 5 skill from mastering it because it is good. You'll use it for a long time and it's really handy. You'll go into Myrmidon because it's the sword class, and then you don't usually bother maxing these ones out, in my opinion, but if you do, it's like a plus 2 to some stat and a movement ability. It's like handy, but meh. Moving on to intermediate class, I highly recommend going Mercenary because the maxed out skill for that is Vantage, and Vantage is one of the best skills in the game. I have it in 2 builds here. It's super good because it allows you to attack first when your HP is 50% or lower. It's just an amazing, amazing skill, and it works perfectly just like it always has in every game that it's been in. So after that, I'm going to say you should probably head into either Warrior or Swordmaster. And now Swordmaster is the obvious choice because it gives you Sword Fair and it gives you a Sword Crit plus 10 and eventually gives you the Astra skill. And that's all fine and dandy. It's all really nice. But you probably have time for both of these, so why not start with Warrior and pick up the Wrath skill, which also increases your crit by 50% when the foe initiates combat and your HP is less than 50%. The same exact conditions as Vantage, basically. So then you could be attacking first and a plus 50% to crit. As long as you can counterattack them, you're golden. That is the problem, though. Being able to counterattack can be kind of a bitch because you're using swords all the time. Maybe there's a situation where you use like 11 swords or something like that, but this can get a little awkward. It's still really powerful if you get it to work, though, let me tell you. Either way, you could just skip that and go straight to Swordmaster, and that's totally fine. Lastly, you're going to want to either go into your unique class for Byleth or possibly the Mortal Savant. Now, if you're doing Mortal Savant, you have to raise up your magic level a lot. I don't know. I don't really think it's worth it for Byleth to do this if they're doing this build, but you can do it if you want to. And by magic, I mean reason. So, These are the other skills you want. Of course, sword prowess, sword fair are ridiculously good. The critical strike plus 10 is obviously really nice. Axe breaker, this one's a little conditional, but I do think it is good like 80% of the time, so pretty nice. And finally, that defiant strength also works really nicely with those other attack first, I'm at low HP kind of skills. So, next we'll talk about Brawler. This is one where you focus on brawling using hand-to-hand combat. The basic leveling structure will be pretty similar, except not at all. You'll go from commoner into fighter, probably. Not much interesting there, but you know, you'll take it. Get your plus 5 HP from commoner, as always. And then you'll probably move into one of the other classes. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky here, because you certainly can go into the brawler class, but its mastery skill sucks. It just lets you use unarmed weapons later on. Like, that's like just using your fist is not very good, so I don't really recommend it. Actually, I would say actually it's better to go cavalier and then just dismount all the time, because the desperation skill actually works fantastically with your character. If you're less than half HP, then you can actually initiate and attack 4 times if you're going to double attack them. That's insane. It's super powerful. The other option, of course, here is Brigand. Brigand will give you the Death Blow ability. This is the much more logical choice, and I don't have any problem with you choosing that either. They give you plus 6 on your attack when you're initiating. Very powerful as well. Finally, you're going to finish off in War Master or your personal class. It doesn't matter a lot, honestly. You can do whatever you want. And then finally, you're going to pick up these other skills: Fist Fair, you know, Fist specialty of mastery. The crit is nice, and Tomebreaker is actually quite nice as well. That is one good advantage to going Grappler as your second tier class, which I forgot to mention. I also list sword prowess on here, and that's literally just because you're probably going to be using the sword sometimes anyway, you know. Oh, right, I forgot. When you're using the sword build on Byleth, you can use your unique weapon to have a range 1 to 2 weapons, so it actually helps a lot with that issue of the enemies attacking you from range. Finally, let's talk about the magic build, which I call by faith and faith alone. So the basic idea of this class is going to be getting you into more magic-oriented classes to get that magic growth up as fast as possible. So going from commoner, you're going to go to monk, and then you have 2 options from here. You can either go, well, you have 3. You could go priest, mage, or mercenary. As you can see, I listed Vantage again, and that's because Vantage is so good with this build that I'd be remiss not to mention it. It's maybe one of those few situations where I would consider doing some like class XP grinding and just like forcing the matter of getting Vantage, but it's ultimately up to you. You can do what you like. The other options are Fiendish Blow and Mage, which I think is quite a bit better, but obviously Priest actually focuses on white magic. So it's all kind of, it's a toss-up. It's whichever one you really prefer in this case. Then you're going to make Byleth into a 3rd tier unit, and this one's again a kind of a weird decision. I would probably recommend Bishop, because their ability renewal is pretty great, unless you're using Vantage, in which case you don't really want renewal because it makes it really hard to keep yourself at less than 50% HP. In fact, actually, this build's impossible to keep yourself at less than 58% HP. It's more of a last chance defense mechanism, Vantages in this case. You'll definitely want the later white magic things like white magic range +1. Just by using the budding talent, you get white magic avoid +20, which combined with the prowess will give you a white magic avoid of +40. That is insane value. You're gonna be so hard to hit, and when you do, you'll just heal back with Nosferatu and your crest. So powerful. Or, you know, you can use Aura too. Aura is very powerful, but in general, if you're getting attacked by enemies, I do recommend Nosferatu. You're going to run out of white magic users eventually, so you're probably going to want to end this class in something that gives you double white magic usage. If you're a woman, you can use the, if you're playing a female Byleth, you can use Gremory, or you could also stick with something, you can stick with the Bishop, something like that for late game, just so you have enough uses to get you through the battle. Those are my 3 builds. Let me know if you have any cool ones down below. I'm sure there's lots of ways to build Byleth, as I've said, so let me know what you guys did, and I'll be curious to hear from you.
So I think that's all I've got for you guys today. Byleth's kind of a weird case because he really has any number of builds depending on how you want to do it, and there's no specific perfect right way. I'm looking forward to some of the future ones where I can kind of get a little more creative with it and say like, hey, this is X, Y, Z, the correct path to making a good character. Or maybe there's 2 paths, but that's fine. Either way, there's not infinite paths like there is for this character. I'm probably going to be starting with the Black Eagles since they were my first house. Black Eagles forever. But I am also well into my Blue Lions playthrough, so I'd be happy to do a character from either of those 2 as my next one. But I'm probably leaning towards Edelgard since she is best girl and is really good and interesting. So unless you guys have a specific request, I'm probably doing that one. That's all I have for you today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on XepherGames. Bye-bye.